Good morning and welcome to Cruising with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk. Thank you so much everyone for tuning in this morning. In the background you can hear the chant of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and I come to you this morning held in the mystic law, giving thanks to Yeshua, my blood-stained elder brother, and giving reverence to the Orishas through Elegua, giving thanks to Oya, who brings change, to Yemaya, the compassionate mother, to Sapla, who brings the refreshing rain, and to Oshun, beautiful Oshun, which we need in this world. Giving thanks this morning, I bring you words of power, words of wisdom, raw words, big words, small words, sad words, words of passion, words of praise. I raise my arms in reverence to the ancient word of days, words of woman, man and child, wild words, words of anger, words of pain, words of wind, earth, sun, and rain. Words of joy and words of healing. Words revealing concealed feelings. These words I offer up to you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and you, and thank you so much for tuning in to Cruising with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk. And today on Friday, the 22nd of January, the first month of the year. Oh, that was loud, wasn't it? That's okay. My trusty technician Richard is having a giggle in the corner. Sorry if that did something to your ears, okay? But in the background we have some music that is stirring the chakras. So if you feel kind of different during the show, the music is doing that. But we've got all sorts of music for you today. And in fact, today is a very special day on Cruising with Cuban Red, because today is the day where we stand in unison with Ashraf Fayed. Ashraf Fayed. I'm going to be bringing you some information about him, some beautiful, amazing poems that have been written from the group I Am Not a Silent Poet on Facebook. Thank you so much to that group. More will be coming later. I'll speak about you. Particularly to Ruben Willie, who's living in Spain and who's the one who brought the group together. And actually, I'd like to read you something that he said about the group. Yes? Description. This is the Facebook group connected to the blogazine I Am Not a Silent Poet, which welcomes quality poems of protest. I have been seeing such increasing evidence of abuse recently that I felt it was time to do something. This is Ruben saying this. I Am Not a Silent Poet looks for poems about abuse in any of its forms, colour, gender, disability, the dismantlement of the care services, the privatisation of the NHS, the rape culture, are just examples that come to mind. It is not a site for rants. which, if they are well written, are welcome here. My idea for this group is for discussion about abuse and what we can do about it. There is room, of course, for poetry. I just feel it was time for me to get off my backside, in fact he said off, and try to do something. And from this page, the show is made up today, because all of the poets that you will hear, as well as the other things that are normally on the show, on Cruising with Cuban Red, you will hear about what they feel for Ashraf Fayed. Thank you so much for tuning in. The weather is wet and wild, but it was the first morning that I didn't see frost on the cars and dew on the hedge and on the mountains of rubbish that hadn't yet been cleared. Enfield Council, come on. It seems to be thawing. I wonder, is it thawing for Ashraf? This morning I'd like to kick off with a poem that I've written, which hopefully sets the day, and then follow that with a poem by Paul Griffiths before I tell you a little bit more about Ashraf and what we're doing today. And of course, all the usual things are here, the wows, yeah. I've got some Maya Angelou for you in there. And we've got our African History Month. We'll talk about that. And all the other things that we normally have. Some great music for you. So keep tuned in. Thank you once again for tuning in to Cruising with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk. This poem I'd like to share with you is one of mine. And I wrote it late last year, I do believe. I'll share it. Yes, the 30th of the 8th, 2015. And it was currently untitled when I wrote it, and I haven't gone back to it to title it. So, and for those of you that haven't tuned in before, these are not rock star glasses, yeah? These are prescription glasses, but I just have them tinted, yeah? So cool, okay. I used to think when someone, anyone slighted me, ignored me, made me feel invisible, that I was back, locked in the wardrobe, inside the dark, afraid of the shadows cast by movements in the lighted room outside, hungry, alone, unloved, forgotten, but I don't anymore. I used to feel that I had to love someone, anyone, in return, sexually, emotionally, psychologically, when they said they loved me, or even if they just saw me. I mean, really saw me. I don't anymore. I used to get caught in the scripts of the past, invisible scripts, verbal scripts, turn them into the BBC drama right then and there, trying desperately to understand, to be understood, to make it flow, explain the reasons why, the way I am, the way I am. I don't anymore. Well, I'm learning. And every day is a different day. And today is the day for Ashraf Fayed. We're going to learn a little bit about why he's where he is and who he is, where he comes from. And I just want to say something at this moment. Ashraf Fayed is someone that is in need. There are times when we are all in need. I can actually feel the African community at this moment saying, but why is she standing up for him when there's so much in our community to stand up for? Why is she putting out this for him? And why hasn't she picked up this or that? Or do you remember that piece that says, when they came for me, there was no one to stand for me? Let us stand for each other. regardless of colour or creed or nationality or culture or gender. Let's stand for one another when needs must. And this is the time when needs must. The Palestinian artist, curator and poet Ashraf Fayyad, 35, has been sentenced to death by beheading. Saudi Arabian authorities have declared his crime as apostasy or abandoning one's religion, in this case renouncing Islam. Several other charges, which in a later show probably we will get to, were also levied against Fayyad, including allegedly photographing women and storing their pictures on his phone, a violation of the country's anti-cybercrime law. Ashraf pleaded innocent to all these charges. Amnesty International UK states that throughout this whole process, Ashraf was denied access to a lawyer. Now that is a clear violation of international human rights law as well as Saudi Arabia's international laws. A little bit more. The reasons for Fayyad's arrest and imprisonment are contested, emanating from a personal dispute with another artist, come on, which escalated into the larger accusation of apostasy and blasphemy, including the Saudi religious police. In addition, his 2008 book of poems, Instructions Within, was cited as promulgating atheism and destructive thoughts. Now, you might not know anything about Fayyad. You might have heard something, you might have read something. Last week there was a worldwide reading of Fayyad's poems. This was sponsored by the International Literature Festival Berlin, and it took place, it happened. I could not be a part of that, but today, because I want to stand for him as I would love for others to stand for me and mine, then today we are sending out this support for Ashraf Fayyad. I think we're going to hear some music at this time. And the first one we're going to hear, I do believe on the list, Richard, is Desiree, Herald the Day, track 1. That'll be really fabulous. And then we're going to hear some poems, yeah? We're going to hear some poems that have come straight through from the Facebook page, I Am Not a Silent Poet, giving thanks to be a part of that group. Welcome to all of you from that group that are listening, but not just all of you. Welcome to my family, yes, Rowena, I know you're out there listening, and my 2 boys, Julian and Elliot, all my grandchildren, giving thanks for you. Giving thanks to Henk, listening over there in Holland, at Toy, Henk. Giving thanks to, for Silver out there listening in the House of Amal. Going to give you some information about that later. Joe, you promised to be listening. Joe is my compadre in arms that we've worked through days of youth work with the Ghetto Youth Theatre and with the Burning Flame Foundation, which you will hear more of. And I just want to say thanks to anybody out there that does know me. From Edmonton to Enfield to London to England to all over the world. Ruben out there in Spain, if you're catching this, thank you very much. And all the poets on the show. Never forgetting to big up the management. Cruising with Cuban Red could not happen without the management. Richard, my trusty technician. And also want to big up everybody else that's on the station. And you know what? There are great other stations out there doing some amazing work. Spice, big you up. You do spice up my life. And station, it's your anniversary soon. You've been going for a long time. Absolutely well done. I think that's enough from me for the moment. We're going to hear a track from Desiree called Herald the Day. Thank you.
Herald the day when the hungry ain't hungry no more, when truth and justice reign, when color don't stand in the way. Yeah. start mending your ways. Herald the day where color don't stand in the way. Oh, blessed day. Hey, hey, hey. Something's gonna happen. It's written in the air. Something's gonna happen. A revolution is everywhere. Lord,
Rise that way.
here on the day when the earth ceases to cry, innocence always prays, so the babies don't have to die. Here on the day where truth and justice reign. Oh, blessed day. Hey, hey, hey. Something's gonna happen. It's written in the air. Something's gonna happen. Revolution is everywhere. Yeah. Herald the day when the hungry ain't hungry no more. Honesty always pays, so you better start mending your ways. Herald the day where peace forever reigns. Oh, blessed day. Start mending your ways. Here on the day where peace forever reigns. Oh, blessed day.
Favourite for me, Richard. Thank you. And that was Desiree, Herald the Day. She said, and she said it a long time ago, a revolution is everywhere. Come on, people. We are not silent. Be we poets, be we road sweepers, be we mothers, be we teachers, be we trusty technicians. We are not silent. A revolution is everywhere. Thank you. I'm going to read you now a selection of the poems that was kindly permissioned me to read from the group I Am Not a Silent Poet. And I'm going to start with Paul Griffiths, actually. I think Paul is also the one that is doing the... Well, I'm going to do an advert for him later, I think, the Chocolate Poetry Group, something like that. I'll have a look properly. Okay, but Paul, I'm going to read your poem. It is fab, as are all of them that are shared with you from I Am Not a Silent Poet. Paul Griffiths, Poetry's Death Sentence. I have never read his poems, to my shame, but I have read about his plight and I know his name. He is not my blood, but he is family to me in the brotherhood of poetry. We all stand behind him as he sits alone in a Saudi Arabian jail and not his Syrian home. His situation could not be worse. A death sentence passed for his love of verse. I don't know if he worships Allah or our Lord, but I pray the pen is mightier than the sword. The judgment is cruelly extreme and totally unfair. But let Ashraf know that the poetry world cares. We have to unite and change how the Saudis think. Get him a pardon written in poetic ink. Is poetry worth dying for? I've heard that said. But the sword of Damocles is not raised above our head. Help fight this injustice. Let us shield him with our ink. Or poetry could die. At least that's what I think. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you. That was fabulous. Do I look like a seal clapping? I don't care. That was fabulous. Thank you very much for letting me share that. I'm going to go straight on into another poem. And this was the first one that I saw when I was looking through the poetry on the I Am Not a Silent Poet page, and picked up this one by Mohammed Sahafi. I hope I said that right, Mohammed. And thank you so much. Your poem. To Ashraf Fayyad, the Palestinian poet, by Mohammed Sahafi. The tears of the sad violin wash the hearts of the damned who are exhausted by the infernal machines of the despotism. They fall drop by drop as an acid on the marrow of those plaster statues which fear to see their nudity, to see what they are between the turning mirrors of the art. Lorca is alive because no one can kill the flowers of eternity. Thank you so much for that, Mohammed. Fabulous poem. And you got some comments there. Natalie, one for the magazine, I think. Mohammed says, yes, you're right, Natalie. It is on the cover of a magazine, and so it should be, Mohammed. Peter Richards says, sensitive, I like it. For being a talented, artistic human who dares to speak his mind, he has been locked up. Let's all continue to write. That's me adding that. And Rubin says, yeah, that is going to be published, possibly, in the magazine. I'm going to go on to another poem by Ron Savory. And this one is called Too Often. The prevalence of words from those who never pray, yet claim for the hearse, wilts the flowers. Complicit, accountability grieving in abject silence, speaks volumes. Too Often by Ron Savory. Thank you very much for that, Ron. Very much appreciated. And I'm going to read one more before we have some more music. Yeah. What music are we going to have? Yeah, I've covered it up. What is it? Coming in Tough. Freddie McGregor. Yeah, that's on the track 40. Yeah, that's on the Roots Rockin' one. Yes, I'm going to read this one, which when I first saw it, I actually had to leave a comment. I love this poem. And it's by Maggie Gibson. And she sent me a friend request, which was really lovely, before she knew that this was happening. And then spoken a few times since I've asked to include this poem on the show. So I do love this piece. And it goes like this. What Drives Me by Maggie Gibson. What drives me, you ask? As if I am a juggernaut with a hairy-armed trucker at my wheel, or a shiny car or train bolting through the landscape of my life? Perhaps the wind drives me, I say, as it drives the sleet and snow that stings and numbs the senses. But no, I am driven by the fire that rages in my head when I see a woman with her head bowed low, a frozen family with nowhere to go, children starving in a war zone hell, a poet locked in a death row cell. I am driven to violence against my typewriter. I plead guilty to battering its pale keys, to bruising the blank indifference of 1,000 sheets of paper. I am driven by a driver without a license. I am driven by the ordinary madness of existence. We know that madness, Maggie. That's why we're coming in tough. We're not sitting down and being silent. We're coming in tough because that madness exists and it drives us all, and sometimes drives us to places where we really don't want to go to. Maggie has had 4 poetry collections published. She won the Scotland on Sunday Women 2000 Poetry Prize. She had her work anthologised in major landmark collections in Scotland and translated into several languages. She's held several Scottish Arts Council and 1 Royal Literary Fund Creative Writing Fellowships, and has several novels for older children published by Puffin. She lives in Glasgow, Scotland. Her 5th collection will be out later this year. I'm going to look for that, Maggie. You can send me a copy if you like. All right, okay, thank you for that. I hope you like the way I read it. And we're going to be listening to Freddie McGregor. Classic, Coming in Tough. Thank you. He's one of our top reggae artists. Was. Ready?
We're not Babylon, right? You know we're coming in soft. Oh well, I mean someone may say we're coming in soft. Well tougher than before. Me say we coming in soft. Oh well, you know we coming in soft. Tougher yet, rougher yet. Plant the seed and watch it grow. Silent river deep, but it has been flow. Don't look back, don't get caught in your tracks. No one will ever.
Yeah, continue to fade it down for me there, Richard. Coming in tough by Freddie McGregor. That's what we need to do. Because you know what? Sometimes that gentle approach does not change things, yeah? This morning I called on Oya, the Orisha of change, the wind Orisha of change. We need that change. We need that change to change the decision of the death sentence that is hanging over like the sword of Damocles. Ashraf Fayed. We need that change. So we're coming in tough. Yeah. You are cruising with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk on this lovely Friday in January. Wow, the month is nearly finished. Oh, wow, that makes me think maybe we should bring in the wow for this week. Okay, I think I will. You know what? I have to follow the leading of spirit. You know what I'm saying? Yes. Okay, so I'm going to bring in the wow. I'm jumping about on the sheet, which Richard says I always do. But I think he's got to know me a little bit by now, I hope. He's nodding, I think. Okay, I'm going to bring in the wow. And this week the wow is a reading, actually, from Maya Angelou. We're not going to look at our where words come from and run our little comp today because we have a lot to fit in. But I would like to share this with you from Maya Angelou, one of my mentors, inspirators, wonderful woman. I give thanks for her life and her words that still live. Maya Angelou on courage. And I don't know if you can see that picture. You probably can't. But that's Maya dancing around a fire. Yeah? Being a fire woman. Yeah? I like that. Courage. Develop enough courage so that you can stand up for yourself and then stand up for somebody else. Have enough courage to love. Here then is my Christian luck. If I am struck, then I'll strike back. History, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. We know this. But if faced with courage, it need not be lived again. I love your words, Maya. Giving thanks. We don't need to keep reliving the past. But until it's dealt with equality and justice and courage, it will keep rising. Again and again. That was me. Maya again. If one has courage, nothing can dim the light which shines from within. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter how frustrated, how irritated, how whatever happens. If you have courage, nothing dims that light which shines from within. I agree with her. Do you? One last little bit for our wow for the week, yeah? I mean to make myself more, to deal with more than the brute can handle. It is said that courage is the most important of all the virtues, because without courage you cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. And last one I'll share with you. Since the price will be extracted from us for everything we do or leave undone, we should pluck up the courage to win back our finer and kinder and healthier selves. All the poets from I Am Not a Silent Poet, you have been very courageous and very healthy this morning in sharing your work with the world for Ashraf Fayad. We want to make a difference. We need that courage that Maya talks about. Giving thanks, Maya. That was our wow for the week. Yeah? Thank you so much for tuning in to Carousing with Cuban Red on inclusivefm.co.uk. I'd like to tell you just a little bit more about Ashraf at this time. Yes? Poets, artists and intellectuals from the Arab world and throughout the world have been speaking out, writing articles, signing petitions and calling for Fayad's acquittal. That's what we want. Freed, acquitted. In February 2014, 100 Arab intellectuals demanded his release from Saudi prison. So you see, it's not just here, us here, and we know this because we know what happened last Thursday. All over the world there was poetry readings and programs happening for Fayad. The PEN American Center sent a letter to President Obama in December 2015 calling on him to press Saudi Arabia's ruler King Salman to release Fayad. Experts, however, do not expect the United States, which has close ties with Saudi Arabia, to exert any pressure on the kingdom to overturn Fayad's sentence. They said, our only hope now is that the Saudi king will stop this madness and save Ashraf together with the other 7 people given the death penalty because of political speeches or peaceful protests. Not on. That's not on. Freedom of speech is that you can say what needs to be said in times of austerity, in times when it's needed to be said. I'm going to read you a couple more poems. Okay. This one is by Sheila Jacob, and it's called Not Guilty. The crime would be, Ashraf, if your words spat hatred in the name of Allah, set a people against itself. Your pen weeps blameless, blood writes your truth across our hearts. Ooh, Sheila, I think I can feel that pen scratch in my heart. Ooh, nice poem, short, sweet. In fact, there were some comments. Elizabeth Robin said, I love the simplicity of this piece. It says so much, so efficiently, brave. Is that the courage we're talking about? I think so, Sheila. Barbara Joan Don says, very concise and to the point. I love it. I like it too. My heart is feeling the scratching. Thank you, Sheila. Going to read another one. That's Paul's. We've read Paul's already. This is by Omole Ibunkan. Ibukan. Yeah? And it's called I Won't Pray. Wielders of knives, enders of lives, defenders of God, beheaders of men. You borrowed them your wisdom as a conscience for the kingdom. You were the voice of freedom, yet you are sentenced to martyr them. Do they care if they're committing a crime against all the sculptors of rhyme? I feel like firing the F word, but for the fear of the firing squad, you ward their worlds with words. Your art becomes an act that touches the heart, an act that cleanses the earth. I have faith in fate, but I did not premeditate that yours would be death by the caliphate of hate. To believe is hard. To pray is hard. The pain won't let me pray hard for Ashraf Fayad. Oh, thank you so much. That was amazing. Omole Ibunkun. That was wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that in I Am Not a Silent Poet. That is wonderful. We have a couple more that I'm going to read. But before we do that, I want to say that if anybody does have any other poems that they'd like to send in about this or anything, please feel free. My email is there in the I Am Not a Silent Poet. And also I do have an email here at Inclusive, but I can't quite remember it at the moment. It's probably Cuban Red at inclusivefm.co.uk. Yeah, so you can try that, or try the email that's on the Facebook. And as you know, on the show every week, yeah, and Richard, we're going to get ready to put on that MP3 now, if that's okay. Every week, every show, because every minute, every second, every hour, every day, every week, every month, from Lucy, you know Lucy, you remember Lucy? They found Lucy in Africa. From Lucy to my youngest grandchild's, Callie Clariana, 2 years old. It is African, yeah? Not October, August, black. I'm not talking about black, you know. Black is a colour. Black and white are colours. I'm talking about nationality here, not even race. Because there is one race. There is the human race. I know I sound how I sound, but that's what I feel. One race, the human race, yeah? The nationalities that make up that human race. Not colours. Do not denigrate me to a colour. And yes, I have been politically black. Yes, I have. Because when you're driven to define yourself in a way that the mental manipulation tells you that you have to, then of course, if you're standing up, you're becoming politically black, even though my skin is brown. Where's that? So we don't go by that. We go by our nationality. It's not Black History Month. It's African history all the time. Yeah? So, because of that, Ashraf Fayyad, I'm sure that you won't mind, and I'm sure all of you won't mind, because actually there are two other things on Facebook. I'm going to digress slightly. Two other things on Facebook at the moment, which is just like burning. One was the post that Rubin posted about the child brides, which somebody wrote in and said, you know what, Rubin, are you against Islam? I think that was a bit unfair. Really, posts can come from all and elsewhere, and this post really got to my heart. Wrote a poem about it, was going to send it in. I will craft it and send it, and whether or not that story is true or not, we know that happens all over the world, not just there, but all over the world in various guises. Look at those young people, that family, that woman that had all those children that was bound up for years in the Austrian country, was it? And lived underground, didn't see day of light. It happens everywhere, not good. And also the other post on Facebook with the child getting beaten with the belt for being on Facebook, and people saying, yes, good thing, she should have get more. Excuse me? Excuse me? Who is anyone to inflict pain on anyone? Are we awake or are we asleep? For years I was comatose. I'm not comatose anymore. Forward, standing, courageous, because that's what it needs to be in this time of revolution, coming in tough. And that's led me to say that this Monday was commemorated the deaths of those that died in the New Cross fire. A fabulous artist, one of my favourite artists actually, El Crisis, also on I'm Not a Silent Poet, but I've known him for years, and he sent in an MP3, which we're going to hear his words, which Richard has got ready for us. And This is dedicated to those that died in the New Cross fire, and this is my African history snippet for Cruising with Cuban Red. Listen.
Easy, my gentleman, prepare yourself, for the time has come. You must be brave, you must be strong to know yourselves as an African. Back in the days when it began, back way back then in 1981, some little racist, little hooligan decide to set on fire black man and woman. The hypocrite will be giving him way too much protection. Them times a black man's life, it wasn't worth a damn. It was the black man's wife that they were looking on. To the surprise of everyone, black man and women formed organizations, and some say they were wise to build up more than one as they came together to mash up Babylon. Over the bridges of Babylon, no one expected so much to come. You see the policeman standing with junction, looking left and right, wondering what's going on. It's estimated 20,000. It's black man and women, and they marching strong. I don't know what to do, this was not part of the plan. They're marching in peace but looking angry. Should I stay or run? But nowadays nobody understands about the road that's paved or what's been going on. Will the fight continue the way it was won, when the elders are elder and the youngers are young? There are far more wars just like this one, but are the elders wise enough to teach their young? There are far more wars just like this one, but are the youngers listening to what's been done? There are far more wars just like this one, but are the elders wise enough to teach their young? There are far more wars greater than this one, but are the youngers listening to what's been done? So there are far more wars just like this one, but are the elders wise enough to teach their young?
And I want to shore up. I want to. Oh, hello. You could see my mouth moving, but you couldn't hear anything. Did you like that? Okay, just saying big up to El Crisis. Thank you so much for at the last minute sending that in for me to play on the show today, which really leads fabulously into the snippet about the New Cross fire, which I'd like to share with you as a part of the African history section. 25,000 people of African descent from all over the UK marched through the streets of London in response to the deaths of 13 young people who attended a birthday party in New Cross in 1981. The circumstances of the New Cross fire lean towards arson rooted in racism. But the investigation has been blocked and frustrated in the usual fashion African deaths under suspicion racist circumstances are. The outpouring of grief and fury and call for justice and healing was and will never become a myth or a once upon a time story if we do not forget these young people. R.I.P. Andrew Goodin, Owen Thomas, Patricia Johnson, Patrick Cummins, Steve Collins, Lloyd Hall, Humphrey Godfrey Brown, Rosaline Henry, Jerry Paul Francis, Glenton Powell, Paul Ruddock, Yvonne Ruddock, and Anthony Burbick, who was a fire survivor but took his own life, traumatized by the loss of his friends in the blaze. I think we need a track of music after that, please. No, not yet. Tracy, track 8, Dreaming of a World. Ashraf, these tears are for you too. These tears are for all the people that have suffered unjustly. You can turn it off. Richard. Poem by Reuben Woolley, who brought the I Am Not a Silent Poet Facebook group together. Cut heads will speak. We survive in long occlusion. Is no air here, no fresh way of saying. They made a god in someone's image. They moved the strings, a rope too tight, a noose to silence these pages. Close a cut. Close a cut head does not speak. They think, listen, hear the voices, sing triumphant. I'm going to read that again, Reuben, because I think I messed that up actually. Okay, I'm going to read that again for you. For us, for Ashraf. We survive in long occlusion. Is no air here, no fresh way of saying. They made a god in someone's image. They moved the strings, a rope too tight, a noose to silence these pages close. A cut head does not speak. They think, listen, hear the voices, sing triumphant. Thank you, Reuben. And the last poem that I'm going to read today, and if I have left out anybody's that said that I could use theirs, that gave me permission, I'm really sorry. Time is kind of running, but these are the ones that I have with me anyway. I do have some addies to put in, so this is the last one for Ashraf today. Please do send in whatever you have. Anybody that's listening, actually, not just about Ashraf. Ashraf, we love you. For Ashraf Fayed by John Mackey. Not Sato's sword, poetic, a scimitar, a keen sweep of Chinese steel posed as the will of God. How might it be that you believe you can chop the absence of belief from the shoulders of this apostate? Are ideas, then, objects in the mind to be flung like pebbles by a scything blade? To do so is only to confirm the absence of God, small g. The steady pump of oil powering the 1%. All the thin white dukes, the belly-heavy sheikhs, plumping up the dense cities with oil and water. They collude with the argument of cruelty as a proof of God. Some will protest, but forgive me, poor poet, says the roustabout, but petroleum leaves no trace of poverty on the... Oh! I think, as I read it, that is on the poor. Just as well I read it before, isn't it? Petroleum leaves no trace of poverty on me. Didn't see that. But I think on the poor is good too. Do you think so, John Mackey? Sorry. Fabulous piece, fabulous poem, all fabulous poems. Thank you so much to everybody that did contribute today. Thank you to El Crisis, and thank you to inclusivefm.co.uk, giving thanks for the privilege to be alive in January 2016, made it this far and going forward from this day. Because you know what? We have to. We do. What, you're going to sit in the corner screaming and doing nothing? I don't think so. Okay. All right, then I'm going to give you a few adverts. Richard, thank you so much. It's been a wonderful, wonderful show. the boxing fitness classes that the Heart of Edmonton Community Centre held, they're still running. They're going to probably be on the show in May. They're probably going to be having another boxing match somewhere between now and then. Yeah, keep tuned in. Signpost. All are welcome to join us for a free meal, which is served every Thursday. Ooh, free meal. Oh, you like that? Between 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. and that's inside the Labour Hall. No, you don't have to labour. That wasn't funny. Which is Broadhouse, 205 4th Street, Edmonton, N18 2TZ. Everyone is welcome to join us for a meal. For more info about Signpost, call 020880722228, and it is a registered charity. So basically what's that saying? There's food every Thursday, just missed it this week, between 6:30 and 7:30 at Broadhouse, 205 4th Street, Edmonton, and everyone is welcome. You don't have to be homeless, but obviously it's kind of aimed at those that have not at the moment. Well, you must know whether you have or whether you have not. You know, you might be in your flat, you might not be homeless, you might not have any electricity, you might be freezing, haven't got nothing to cook anything from. Go and get a meal. Don't feel shame. It's okay. All right? Okay, the other thing I want to advertise is a winter showcase, woo-hoo-hoo, by the House of Amal, and that is on Sunday, this Sunday, at the Hackney Picture House, 170 Mayor Street, London. Doors open at 6. A plethora of fabulous artists shall be there, including 24 Karat Dollar, Susie Dread, Tiger Fire Inhuman in ways that we won't mention now, Lady S. Oh, I can't even remember all the names. Oh yes, yeah, I think I'm going to be there too. So do come along to that if you can. That would be really fabulous. And like one of the poets, I think this is Peter Griffiths, please forgive me if I'm wrong, the Chocolate Poetry Club London, breaking news, yay! The Chocolate Poetry Club wants your words. They will be publishing a print zine as well as an online zine. It's trendy, isn't it? The Chocolate Poetry Club submission guidelines. They don't want safe poems. They want poems that will dance naked at the edge of time. Oh, yes. You may find that you can fly, risk the fall, test the boundaries. Your poem may look safe to begin with, but take off. Take off. We hope it does. We love to see poets flying. And that's what we've been doing this morning for Ashraf Fayyad, for those that were massacred in the New Cross. It was a massacre. It was fire and they were burned. Yeah, this year I never got to go to a memorial, but over the years I have been to the memorials, and not funny. But we've been doing this morning, we have actually made a difference, I believe. We've tuned in, turned on, and we've not dropped out. I think that's fabulous. So you have been cruising with Cuban Red. I do want to hear one more tune before I do that. My daughter phoned in and she said, you know, she hopes that everyone was listening and was touched by the show, because we need to get up and we need to stand up, and that's quite amazing, because she's quite scared of phoning in to the show and to tell me anything. But poets, you touched her. I hope that others too were touched. And I think I've got a message from El Crisis. Yeah. Oh yes. Let me just read these, yeah? If that's all right. Richard, you okay? You got time? We good? Let me read these. Oh, that was probably a mail. I don't know. Yes, they've gone where they've gone. Yes, they've gone where they've gone. So me and technology. Anyway, El Crisis managed to catch the last of his listening. He probably is in now. Hi, El Crisis Favo. Thank you very much. Hopefully you'll come in and be on the show one day. I'd really love that, yeah? And Rowena, like I said, says to big up everybody that was listening, and hope we do stand up and do something more than what we are doing. It will be the Nina Simone one. You're quite right, Richard. Thank you very much. I just want to finish with the last little bit about Ashraf. I don't need to read it, I'll tell you. There should be an appeal being heard this week. Whether it's actually been heard or not as yet, I'm not sure, but we will hear the outcome of that and know what's happened. Hopefully all the programs that are on last year and all the poets that stood with him and today, and I'm sure people are still doing it everywhere, will have made a difference. I want to thank you this morning one more time for tuning in with Cuban Red on Cruising with Cuban Red from inclusivefm.co.uk. Don't go yet. Share this last piece of music with me and I'll close you out with a poem, yeah? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. For all we know, we may never meet again. Before we go, make this moment live again. We won't say goodbye until the last minute. I'll hold out my hand, and my heart will beat for all we know. This may only be a dream. We come and we go, like the ripples in a stream. So baby, love me tonight. Tomorrow was made for sun. Oh, but tomorrow may never come. For all we know, yes, tomorrow may never come. For all we
I've brought you words of power, words of wisdom, Raw words, big words, small words, sad words, words of passion, words of praise. I raise my arms in reverence to the ancient word of days. Words of woman, man and child, wild words. Words of anger, words of pain, words of wind, earth, sun and rain. Words of joy and words of healing. Words revealing concealed feelings. These words I've offered up to you. See you next week.
Nam yo